You have to take the risk and you have to take the leap. And if it feels right and it makes sense to you and it is what you love, then you just do it.
My friends and I were always interested as a group in drinking. We actually started making our own bootlegged booze when we were younger.
You know, when you're a young kid, there's always a challenge of trying to find someone to buy you beer. The internet had just been invented, so I went online and learned how to make it. Googled the jailhouse hooch recipe, which was much more like a hallucinogen than it was an alcohol. You learn things in the distillation process, right? You add all the ingredients together, you screw it on really tight, and 2 weeks later, every drop of it exploded under my bed, and my mom was like, "Mikey, it smells like beer in here," right? So we moved the operation outside. We became very popular in high school because of this.
And then eventually, that sort of passion in home brewing turned into me thinking maybe I wanted to try it for a career.
The smart one out of the bunch, JP, he got inspired. He was like, I'm gonna go to school to learn how to make beer, which is what he actually did.
My first job out of college was brewing at Bell's Brewery, so making beer, craft beer. And then eventually I went back to school. At the same time, there was a distilling program at Michigan State University, and so I was involved with those guys. We actually were able to distill our first batches up there with our own recipe, with our own hands 2 years before we actually opened up, which was a huge advantage because we could have aged whiskey the day we opened our doors. At its very basic, distilling is just concentrating some chemical. So obviously in this case, we're concentrating alcohol with ethanol. So we're taking something like beer or something like wine and turning it from 8 or 10% alcohol into something that's 40% or 60% alcohol.
We'd always had a dream of starting a microbrewery. As this kind of, talk amongst friends, continues, one day we were driving up north to JP's cabin and JP said, this brewery thing has already been done before. Everybody's doing it, the market's saturated, let's start a distillery. And it seemed like a really great idea. For whatever reason at the time, whether we were drunk or not, it made sense.
I was always interested in being an entrepreneur. When I was growing up, I didn't want to go work for the man. I wanted to do my own thing.
You just do things to further it, right? You register a business name, then you find a space to open your business, and then you sign a lease, and then it gets real. Half the guys who weren't paying attention were like, holy shit, what did we get ourselves into? It's like, well, I guess we're starting a distillery now. So we found this place. It was perfect. Big exposed brick walls, I-beams. It used to be old slaughterhouse, right, in Eastern Market, the epicenter of all food production. It was the epicenter of Prohibition, back when Detroit was the capital of Prohibition in the 20s. There wasn't any plumbing, heating, or electrical, or any walls in the place, but it was perfect. And here we are. So it still very much feels like a dream. It's always about working with local farmers to find the finest ingredients to transform into the best possible spirits. You have to start with the best possible ingredients.
We obviously like to source a lot of the things from the market, so when we make a syrup or we make a sweetener or something like that, we try and buy fruits or other things from the market to kind of incorporate our environment around us. We try and do as much of it as we can here and make all our own stuff as we can.
It's really about leveraging this incredible agricultural industry we have here and keeping business in our own neighborhood.
One of our partners, Michael Forsyth, he planted this tree when he was 7. It's a white pine tree. The brilliant thought randomly of, hey, let's take this tree that we've had forever, in my backyard and use it in one of our gins. I mean, what a great idea.
So we actually cut down blue spruce branches and white pine branches.
And this is the story of Peacemaker Gin. We plant rows of blue spruce and white pine. I like to think that if Santa was drinking a cocktail, it would be a martini with Peacemaker Gin in it, because it does taste like Christmas.
Our goal is to blend a cocktail so well that you're getting a nice painting involved with it, where the spirit is your main piece in the painting almost, or the cocktail as it would be.
So it's been a special part of my life being able to be a part of this movement happening in Detroit. You get to blend business and pleasure together, and that's a really great thing, and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else.